Welcome to the Paige Kornblue Show. Today we're celebrating fatherhood. In honor of Father's Day, we've pulled together powerful moments from conversations I've had with some of the most accomplished names in sports. Men who have inspired on and off the field, and the same on the court, from the basketball court to the tennis court, and who also take great pride in being dads. You're about to hear reflections from legends like Eli Manning, Emmitt Smith, Desmond Howard, Dusty May, and Jimmy Connors, plus athletic director Brian White and former collegiate coach, now business coach, Marc Nudelberg. These are stories of leadership, love, mistakes, milestones, and the quiet moments that matter most. These guys open up about the lessons they've learned from fatherhood, the values they hope to pass down, and how being a dad has shaped their lives far beyond the game. So, whether you're a father, have one, miss one, or are helping raise the next generation, this episode is for you. Let's listen in to some heartfelt, humorous, and wise words from sports legends who know what it means to lead both on and off the field. Here's two-time Super Bowl MVP and former New York Giants star Eli Manning. How has this side of life been for you, kind of stepping off the field and being able to say with your parents, with your family, with your wife, your kids, let's grill, right? Being able to do that now. It's
been great. And it's been a lot of fun just to, just kind of have like a normal weekend, because my weekends were not normal for a long time. I'd, come home on Saturday after a practice and know I had to go to the hotel in a couple hours, and Sundays were playing games. And so just to have, now that we got good weather, still living up in the Northeast, to be, get outside, to spend weekends, kids are playing their own games, but we get evenings usually where we can have friends and family over and just, enjoy the company of each other in our own space.
Nothing like joint projects with your brother and your other brother and your dad, correct? I mean, together you all do better and have so much fun, and we have so much fun watching you. What is that like from your perspective?
It's always fun. Any chance I get to do something with my family, and especially with my two older brothers, we're all very, very close. And so whether it's to be in a commercial together, to support a brand, we always jump at those opportunities, just because we all live in different parts of the country, so we don't always get together at normal times. So sometimes it's a speech, or it's an endorsement, or it's a commitment that will get us together where we can come in the night before, have dinner, and get some family bonding time.
What are some of the lessons for you, for Peyton, for Cooper, that have kind of stuck with you and that you find yourself, from your parents kind of passing on to your kids and perhaps some of the guys you're working with at the academy, right?
Yeah. So many lessons that I've learned, from my parents. And I think, just on raising kids, I think a lot of people assume that, Peyton and I were, groomed to be NFL quarterbacks because my dad was one, and nothing could really be further from the truth. I played basketball through high school, played baseball in high school, didn't play tackle football until 8th grade. And so, just love being outdoors, love playing sports. I think it helps so much with just, dealing with circumstances, or dealing with defeat, dealing with, success, and, building great leadership skills, teamwork, the importance of that. And so with me having 4 kids, I have three daughters and a little boy, getting them involved in sports, just from confidence and a health, and so they're playing all different sports. I don't know if it's a coincidence or on purpose, but it's all sports that I know nothing about. They don't play, they're not really playing much basketball anymore. They're not playing baseball as much. I got lacrosse players, swimmers, and a hockey player. So, something I definitely don't know anything about, but they're having fun and enjoying it. And I just enjoy being the dad, watching them and supporting them.
Let's take it to the field with NFL legend Emmitt Smith.
You're able to jump in on interviews left and right, and you have throughout your life and your career. There was one with Dr. Phil I was listening to, and he mentioned, and one of the lines stuck with me, that Emmitt Smith did not become Emmitt Smith by accident, but on purpose. Talk about that purpose, those visions and dreams you've had since you were a young boy.
Yeah. I mean, life is about purpose, finding your purpose and pursuing your passion and your dreams. Without purpose, I don't think you're going to have passion for what it is that you're doing. I think understanding what your purpose is can help propel you to continue to push and drive and explore things that will help support what it is that you're trying to do. You will seek out wisdom in areas that will help you continue to grow. And football was part of my purpose, but football was not the end of my purpose. It was just an extension of a bigger purpose, which has been obviously the best person I can possibly be, the best father that I can possibly be, one of the best leaders that I can possibly be, and to inspire others to their own level of greatness. Oftentimes people look at us athletes and they think that, well, you have this talent, you could do this. Yes, I could do this, but you could do this. And you are doing this. And I love what you're doing. I want to learn what you're doing. See, athletes to me, is fertile ground for learning. And I've taken it to heart to continue to try and learn from people that are doing things and going places, and even those that are not, understanding why, what's holding them back, what are the limitations, what's defining them, and if there's a chance to help them get out of that mode, then let me just share my life, because where I began was humble beginnings. And I had to overcome challenges myself, even though most folks don't think that athletes they think our lives are easy, but it's not. That's why we put over 10,000 hours into our crafts.
Same with Dancing Champions, right?
Yep, same as being a journalist too.
Right, and a journalist.
You put in that time to master that skill of asking questions and communicating certain things and talking to your people and bringing them into the room. That's a skill set that have taken time. Somebody inspired you in that path. Absolutely. And so just like my path has been inspired by the folks that I saw come before me. And that, I don't think that would ever change. It's like God, it's how Jesus was Jesus. That's how we were inspired by somebody that did something great. And so that cycle continues.
There's so many records and so many things that we could rattle on in a great way about your resume. Overall, how do you look at your career? How do you look back now?
I am ecstatic about my career. And also, even when folks said that I would not be, I had to look at my career and analyze what I was able to accomplish and how I was able to get there and what I had to go through to get there. Just to reaffirm or remind myself, you have what it takes. Because when you have folks saying, well, he's not big enough, not fast enough, he's gonna fall flat on his face, he can't handle the pressure of the National Football League, and his body just gonna give out. When you have folks saying that, you have to go back and look at, and I tell my kids this, when things get hard sometimes and people are saying things about you, and you have to overcome something, go check your library of life. Because in your library of life, I can promise you there was an obstacle or 2 or 3 or 4 or 20 that you had to overcome. And now you're faced with this and what people are saying about you. What makes you think that you cannot do the same thing? If you overcame those, you can overcome this too. And oftentimes we discount those obstacles that we've already defeated.
Listen in to 1991 Heisman Trophy winner, Super Bowl MVP, and ESPN College Gameday's Desmond Howard.
Wanted to touch upon fatherhood and what that's been like for you. You know, so many of us joke like, what's harder, the career or parenthood? It's all hard, right? It's all challenging and so rewarding.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, I can do a whole segment on that. Yeah. It's the most rewarding part of my life. Like, I absolutely love being a father. I mean, you know, there's nothing I'd rather do, you know, and Like, you know, people say they love their kids, they love their children. Like, I'm in love with my children. Yeah, we have a wonderful relationship. I mean, yeah, I have great kids. I was blessed, you know. It's the best. It's the best part of my life. Like I look, you know, the good thing is like my kids are older now, and
right?
Yeah, I have 3 kids, and like, you know, as they get older, if you were ever cool, the older they get, the less cool you become. Like, that's just it. That's how it goes. So I think that at one point, especially during high school, you know, I was like questioning whether I was still cool or not. You know, I would go to, you know, because it gets to the point where if you're dropping your kids off at school, you know, you can like drop them off a block away now, or maybe 2 blocks away now.
I hear that.
Yeah, you don't have to take me all the way to the door anymore, you know. And so, so you know, I'm like, hey, I'm the cool dad. Like your buddies watch me on TV all the time. What are you talking about? But you know, to them, you know, nah, you're not that cool. So anyway, but we got through that phase. And yeah, everything is fantastic. So yeah. So it's like, yeah, well, I feel as though I was born to do, actually.
No matter the stage, there's moments that are challenging as a parent. Right? What's your advice to dads out there in terms of whether they're little, or that 10-year-old, or those teenagers?
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, and then they say the bigger they get, the bigger the problems, right? Say, you know, now that you've gotten through a good chunk of it.
Yeah. Some advice?
Yeah.
Well, I think that at different stages, there are different things that you need to know. But I think ultimately, so I was watching listen to a podcast one day, Mike Tyson, right? So I've known Mike Tyson since I was in high school. And so I'm listening to Mike Tyson do this podcast with a tennis coach. Mike Tyson has a daughter who loves to play tennis. And this coach, I think, trained either Venus and Serena, one or the other, or both. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, he had like this deep French accent. I believe it was French. But they're talking, and so Mike is talking about going to his daughter's tennis practices. And he said he's not like one of those parents who's like vocal and wants to be seen, wants to be heard. Like, he likes to play the back and let the child do what they're doing. And he said that his role is to make sure that when he's there, that she feels supported and protected. So that always resonated with me, because my dad, JD, would always be at my practices, right? And so I thought about that when he said it. It was like, damn, like that's how I always felt. Like with my dad, you know, he would just sit there and practice. He's not part of the practice. He's not part of the games. You know what I mean? Like a lot of parents are. He's just there observing. But I always felt supported, and I always felt protected when he was there. And so I'm like, that's how I am as a parent. Like, when my kids played football, it could be intimidating for me to be there as a parent at practice. You know what I'm saying? And so I would make sure that was never the case. So I didn't say a word. I'm there. I'm going to watch my sons, but I'm not going to say anything. And my sons didn't hear any criticisms, any critiques, or any compliments about practice until we got in the car. Yeah. So anyway, so I think that would be my one of the lessons or words of advice I would give a parent. Just make sure your child always feels protected and supported.
What motivates you?
I have self-motivation. Yeah, I'm just a self-motivated person that's driven to get the best out of me. And like another life lesson that we spoke about Greg Harden earlier was what he helped me understand at an early age when I was in Michigan was what you need to focus on, young man, is becoming the best version of yourself. Become the best version of you, and everything else will fall in place. And so I've always been motivated. You know, I've always had like a foundation of discipline. and what motivates me now is just like, my children motivate. Yeah, I'm definitely, because, we have like this line of communications now, especially like my sons will watch me on game day. They be like, that was great, Dad, or, something like that. So it's always good to get, 'cause it's not easy to get compliments from your children.
Right.
It's like pulling teeth sometimes,
Few and far between.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. So if it happens, like, yes, all right. I really knocked that one out the park, right? So, so that's what motivates me. I'm very self-motivated to just be my best no matter what I'm doing, be the best at it that I can be at least. And then like, the kids, they definitely, they play a role of motivation too.
Let's head to the court with University of Michigan head basketball coach Dusty May. In terms of fatherhood, I was going to say, how do you balance it all? I always ask that. And then some say, well, there is no balance. It's just, where you are in that moment. How have you kind of looked at that in your day?
I think we've talked about this before, that work-life balance, if you're very, very driven, I don't know if you ever have it, because when you're at work, you feel like you need to be at home. And when you're home, you feel like you need to be at work. And I know it's not healthy, but there are a lot of things that we all wish we could change about the way we think or do things. But our boys, thankfully, Anna has allowed them to always have irregular schedules and calendars and to fit it around what I did. And they would go recruiting with me. They would be at camp. They would be in my office. And fortunately, I worked for great head coaches that encouraged us to have our kids around. It's good for everyone. It's good for our players. It's just good to have kids around. They bring great energy. And so they've always just been a part of it. And even now with them playing in college, it's something that we can all share together. And it's something that we have to talk about. And we're each a part, we're all a part of each other's teams and lives.
What's your advice for other parents, other dads, other moms out there who maybe feel the overwhelm sometimes?
I don't know if I'm the right person to give advice on those things. Just try to do the absolute best job you can and develop a routine where you're giving them at least a good example and quality attention.
A few stories now with Florida Atlantic University Athletic Director Brian White. What are some of the messages that your parents instilled in all of you that you kind of carry through this day? Something maybe that stick with you?
My mom's probably the toughest woman I've ever met. So her messages are more emotional in her direction, but she's incredible and how she's wired. She grew up in Flint and is just a very, very tough woman and loves what we do and always she's a fighter by nature. So she's very much that way. And my dad obviously is as well, but some of his themes, a lot of, like I am, probably repetitive. He was probably repetitive. He probably knew that I wasn't smart enough to remember it on the first time he said it. So a lot of times his advice, he's big on I over E, intellect over emotion, and just whatever you feel about a situation, whatever your emotion tells you, doesn't matter. What's the smart intellectual thing to do in that situation? He's big on I over E. And then, my dad's unique. He's funny to ask for advice because he's been doing it for so long that no matter what the situation is, hey, we got this crazy situation with XYZ and help me walk through this. And I had, Brian in 1982 at the University of Maine, it was 10 times worse. Here's what I had. And then it's always, but in some ways it's, you want him to be, wow, that's really bad. But in many ways, it always makes you feel better because you're saying, it's all part of doing what we do. So he's been there, done that. He's big on, small things as a kid. It was always, he's big on hard work and discipline. And, we used to reset our lawn every summer and I thought it was just for his fun. There'd be nothing wrong with the lawn, but you'd wake up and he'd wake you up at 6 a.m. with a big grin on his face. And there's a big pile of sod at the end of the driveway and, stick your nose in it. And, he's big on, just hard work and, loves that sort of thing. Anticipate was always a key thing for him. That, no matter what the issue we were talking about, anticipate, just he was big on us thinking 2 steps ahead.
Here's tennis legend Jimmy Connors. When I asked Aubrey about some of her highlights from childhood with you, I thought it was interesting. So many of us think of you with tennis, and she was mentioning the holidays and the ski trips, and some of the things that people probably don't think of Jimmy Connors doing.
My whole life kind of stems around what I was good at from the very beginning, which was the tennis, and to still be able to do that a little bit and to make things happen. And also, like I say, life ain't bad.
No.
You just got to figure out the way that you can live your own life. And I've been pretty good at that. Not that I've been perfect at it, but I've been pretty good at it. It doesn't look like you've been bad at it either, Paige. It looks like you've handled it pretty well yourself. But that's probably my mess. I'm not a philosopher, and I don't like digging that deep and and all that. But to be here talking to you about a lot of things that happened in the past and things that are happening present and in the future, that's not so bad.
Not so bad. And lastly, TEDx speaker, former Division I football coach, and on-the-ball training and development programs, Marc Nudelberg. Former coach, former D1 coach, and now just motivating all of us as individuals, as companies, as teams. When we talk about the team of fatherhood, parenthood, all of us can relate that are parents. It's not easy, right? Yeah. But I call parenting, I call it wonderful chaos.
Yeah.
Because it really is. And you kind of learn as you go.
Yeah.
What are some takeaways for us that you've learned and that you try and hold on to as you're raising your boys?
Oh, it's, presence is everything, and not like the terms of giving presents, but being present. And however I can accomplish that for my boys is the thing that I try to get done. I have 2 boys, one from a previous marriage, one who lives in Tallahassee with his mom, and one who lives here with me and my wife. And so I never pictured myself being a long distance parent. I never thought that would be me as a father. My dad is a great dad, and I'm super thankful that I had a lot of father figures in my life who were great fathers and all came from different backgrounds and walks of life, So I had a lot of male influences on me that created a wide spectrum of what a father could look like. Then defining it for yourself is difficult because I worked in a profession in football where there's it's family, football, and faith, or family, faith, and football. And I'm like, yeah, it's really none of those things. It's just football all the time. Sure, they say it's family, but that's because they bring the family in on Sunday night to have dinner with you at the office so that you don't have to go home. And, they say that it's faith because we, say the Lord's Prayer before and after games, but they're not giving us Sunday morning off to go to church. So
you're in there watching tape.
Those are words that we talk about, but do we really live them? And so coming from a profession where family was totally secondary and everything was about the profession and the game and what we were doing, it created a significant void for me in my life. And so when I decided that I was going to take responsibility for my future and I was going to bet on myself and become an entrepreneur, I said, nobody is ever going to dictate the time I spend with my family anymore. They truly will be the top priority in my life. And we live in a time now where good decisions are data-driven decisions, right? Like that, we have access to so much information now and so much data that it's hard to be a dad because some of that tough love that you thought was what you were supposed to get when you were little might not really be the best thing anymore, and just telling your kids, to suck it up and, hey, be a man, and what that really means today is different than what it was when I was young and growing up and impressionable and what I thought, being a dad or what you do is. So it's, it's convoluted. There's a lot of different perspectives and opinions on it, but I think evolution and continuing to evolve what you think is right is so important, because the more information we get, the better decisions we can make. And the more you can just be present for your kids and allow them to become whoever it is that they're supposed to be, right? And whatever they like to do, whatever they show passion in, teach them consistency, teach them discipline, not in terms of timeout and sacrifice, but in terms of if there's going to be pain, there's going to be hard, there's going to be failure, there's going to be things that I'm not going to rob those emotions from you, right? I'm not going to protect you from them. And I'm also not going to make it bigger than it is, right? Like if you choose to do something, there's a commitment that comes along with that. There's responsibility that comes along with that. But I'm always here to help you and guide you through it. Not going to do it for you, but I'm going to be here to help you through it. I think that's really what it's about, is how can we become stewards for our boys or our girls or whoever they want to be as they're growing up, to help them be the best version of that, which is being a coach, So it's great for me because being a dad is similar to what I do all day, every day as a career and a profession. And, it's you just get to coach all the time.
Okay, so that's a little bit about fatherhood with sports legends and leaders. A lot of their links are on my website. That's paigekornblue.com, Paige with an I and Kornblue with a K. I sure hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I have. Until next time, everybody, cheers and happy Father's Day.